4 World Cup titles, the birthplace of Catenaccio, a footballing nation so dominant, so woven into the DNA of the sport, that imagining a World Cup without Italy was like imagining Christmas without family. Now, a country can miss 1 World Cup and call it a bad cycle, miss 2 and call it a crisis, but miss 3, that's not a cycle, that's a collapse. And the most uncomfortable truth Italian football has to face is that somebody saw this coming years ago. That somebody was Jose Mourinho. To understand why Mourinho's warnings hit so hard, you need to understand what Italian football used to be. Serie A in the late 1980s and through the 1990s was not just the best league in the world, it was the only league that mattered. Every generational talent on the planet ended up in Italy. Maradona at Napoli, Van Basten at Milan, Ronaldo at Inter, Zidane at Juventus. The league didn't just attract the best, it produced them too. Maldini, Baresi, Del Piero, Totti, Buffon, Cannavaro. The list reads like a hall of fame because, functionally, it was one. Italian football wasn't just winning, it was defining how the game was played. Tactical sophistication that made the rest of Europe look like children chasing a balloon. Defensive organisation so precise it bordered on cruelty, and a winning mentality so deeply ingrained that losing a match felt like a personal insult to every generation that came before. This was the country that won the 2006 World Cup. In Germany, with a squad that had just survived the Calciopoli scandal, one of the biggest corruption cases in the history of the sport. They were stripped, disgraced, humiliated, and they went out and won the whole thing anyway. That was Italian football. Defiant, resilient, ruthless. And then, somewhere between 2000 and out.
Hey everyone, this video is sponsored by OK Jersey, rated an impressive 4.5 stars on Trustpilot. Fans love them for high-quality jerseys, great prices, only £15, and super fast delivery. They offer a huge selection of new season, retro, and even upcoming World Cup kits. Use code MOUSE at checkout to get 8% off your order. Don't wait, go check them out.
Mourinho didn't come to Roma quietly. Cannavaro just among the defenders. Today, name 5 Serie A defenders who would walk into a Premier League title-winning side. Take your time. The silence is the point. The league that once attracted the best players from every continent now watches its own best talents leave for England the moment a serious offer arrives. And the players who stay, the ones who dominate domestically, often look like completely different footballers when they step into the Champions League knockout rounds. That's not a coincidence. That's a competitive environment that no longer prepares players for the highest level. Mourinho understood this because he'd managed at the highest level everywhere else. He had the comparison points. He knew what world-class looked like because he'd built it, coached it, and beaten it. When he said Serie A had no top players, he wasn't being provocative for the sake of it. He was making a clinical observation from a position of unmatched experience. Nobody wanted to see it. The problem with ignoring a warning is that reality doesn't care whether you listened or not. It just keeps coming. Italy failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. The shock was enormous. It was the first time in 60 years the Azzurri had missed a World Cup. The entire nation went into mourning. Gianluigi Buffon cried on the pitch in Milan after the playoff loss to Sweden. It was supposed to be his final tournament. Instead, it was his final heartbreak. The response? Reform, promises, a new direction. Roberto Mancini was brought in, young players were promoted, and in 2021, it seemed to work. Italy won Euro 2020 with a brand of football that felt genuinely exciting, pressing high, playing through midfield, scoring beautiful goals. Wembley, penalties, glory. But here's the cruel twist. That Euro's triumph masked the deeper problems rather than solving them. Because just over a year later, Italy failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, beaten by North Macedonia in a playoff. North Macedonia, a country with a population smaller than some Italian cities, at home. The Euro 2020 win wasn't a sign of recovery. It was a sugar rush, a brief, brilliant spike that made everyone believe the patient was healthy when, underneath, the disease was spreading. And now it's happened again. A third consecutive World Cup missed. At some point, the pattern becomes the diagnosis. Fabio Capello, a man who won league titles with Milan, Roma and Juventus, who managed Real Madrid and the England national team, has publicly stated that Serie A teams cannot cope with the high-intensity pressing that defines modern European football. When Italian clubs face English or German opposition in the Champions League, the gap in physical intensity, in pressing coordination, in sheer athletic output is visible within the first 15 minutes. And it's getting wider, not narrower. The talent pipeline that once produced world-class players every generation has slowed to a trickle. Where are the next Maldini, the next Pirlo, the next Totti? They don't exist. Not because Italian youth are less talented, but because the development infrastructure, the coaching pathways, and the financial investment in academies have all fallen behind. England invested over £1 billion into youth development after their own embarrassing tournament exits. Germany rebuilt its entire academy system after the humiliation of Euro 2000. France had already been ahead for decades with Clairefontaine. Spain restructured around La Masia's principles. Every major footballing nation looked in the mirror, didn't like what they saw, and spent the money to fix it. Italy looked in the mirror, told itself it was still beautiful, and went back to bed. The numbers tell the story with brutal clarity. In the 2023-24 Champions League, no Italian club reached the semi-finals. The gap between Serie A and the Premier League, in terms of revenue, isn't just a gap anymore. It's a canyon. English clubs can pay 3, 4, 5 times what Italian clubs offer in wages. The best young Italian players increasingly see their futures in England or Spain. And the ones who stay in Serie A often develop in a lower intensity environment that leaves them unprepared for the physical demands of international football at the highest level. Mourinho saw all of this. He said all of this. During his Roma years, after his Roma years, in every interview that would have him, the infrastructure is crumbling. The finances can't compete. The talent isn't being developed. The league is getting weaker, not stronger. Every single warning verified by results. So the question isn't whether Mourinho was right. The evidence has settled that debate. The real question, the one that should keep Italian football administrators awake at night, is why nobody listened. And the answer is painfully simple. They didn't listen because listening would have required action, and action would have required admitting that the problems were structural, deep, and expensive to fix. It's far easier to blame one loud Portuguese manager than to rebuild an entire football ecosystem. There's also the Mourinho factor itself. He's an easy man to dismiss. He's theatrical. He's self-promoting. He weaponizes controversy. He has an ego the size of the San Siro. All of these things are true. And Italian football used every single one of them as an excuse not to engage with the substance of what he was saying. It's a pattern you see everywhere, not just in football. When the messenger is imperfect, and they always are, it becomes incredibly convenient to attack the messenger instead of the message. Mourinho made it easy for them. Every touchline outburst, every red card, every dramatic press conference gave the Italian football establishment another reason to roll their eyes and change the subject. But here's what they forgot. Mourinho has won league titles in 4 different countries. He's won the Champions League with 2 different clubs, including an Italian one. He built one of the greatest club sides in Serie A history. When that man tells you your league is declining, you might want to at least consider the possibility that he knows what he's talking about. They didn't consider it. They dismissed it. And now they're sitting at home watching the World Cup on television. Again, Italian football will recover. It always does, eventually. The history is too rich, the passion too deep, the infrastructure too embedded in the culture of the country for it to stay broken forever. But recovery requires honesty, and honesty requires admitting that the people who sounded the alarm were right. even when those people were difficult, abrasive, and impossible to be around at dinner parties. Jose Mourinho warned Italian football that this was coming. He was specific, he was persistent, he was, characteristically, louder than anyone wanted him to be, and he was right. The only question left is whether Italian football will finally listen, or whether they'll wait for someone more polite to say the exact same thing and waste another decade in the process. Mourinho told them, "They didn't listen. The World Cup won't wait."